Yeah, good morning, students. Okay, so today we are moving to the last operation. Okay, and that operation is merging. Okay, so we started with the data structures operations. We saw insertion, we saw deletion. Okay, fine. I think we started with traversal. We saw insertion, we saw deletion. Then we saw searching. In searching, we saw about linear search as well as binary search. Then we saw sorting. In sorting, we saw about the bubble sort, or what we also call it as exchange sort. And today we are going to see about the last operation, that is merging. Okay, fine. Let's start. So our objective today will be to understand the merging operation in array, and then we are going to move forward to a small practical session where we are going to see how we can write a small code for a data structure array. We will see how we can declare an array, how we can take input of the array, and how we are going to display that array. Okay, so that we are going to see. Fine. So let's understand the merging operation. Fine. So when we say merging, okay, what we want to say, merging of arrays refers to combining the elements of two linear arrays into one single array. So whenever we say that we have to perform the merging operation of array, we have to very be clear that there will be two arrays. If there are two arrays, then only merging is possible. And after merging, there will be one more array, that is the third array. Okay. So whenever merging operation is there, this is minimum. Okay, there can be multiple arrays also which can be merged. Okay, but minimally there will be two arrays will be merged, and a third new array will be formed, which will be combination of the elements of the first array as well as the second array. Okay. If the elements of the array are not sorted, then the merge array also need not to be sorted, which means, students, what we are trying to say, if there are two arrays which we are taking for merging, and if first array as well as the second array is not sorted, they are having elements which are not sorted, then even the merged array can be not sorted. That is absolutely fine. Thus, we can merge the given two arrays into single end-to-end. The elements of the first array are copied into the third array, and then the elements of the second array are copied after the first elements of the array. So this is the simpler case wherein you have two arrays. In both the arrays, elements are not sorted. What you do, you make a third array. You first of all copy all the elements of the first array, then wait, then you copy all the elements of the second array after the first array. Okay, so this is one case. The second case is, if the elements in the given array are sorted, we want them to merge them into a third array, which is also required to be into the sorted form. So what in this case, now what we are telling students, that instead first array and second array which were unsorted, now they are sorted, which means first array is sorted, all the elements are sorted, they are in ascending order. Second array, it is also sorted, all the elements are there in ascending order. Now you want to make third array, and that third array should also be sorted. How it can be achieved? Because see, what elements we have in first array and second array, we don't know. So if we just copy them, then it may happen that the second array may not be sorted, right? The second array may not, sorry, the third array may not be sorted, because you just have copy pasted all the elements of first array and second array. So in that case, what is required, that the third array that is achieved by merging should also be sorted. Fine. How it is done, students? So let's go ahead and see. So there are two different ways by which you can achieve the merging of sorted array. In the first approach, the given sorted arrays are combined end to end, and the elements of the third array can be sorted by using some appropriate sorting algorithm. Which means, see, we have already understood sorting. So what we could do is, we can copy all the elements of the first array which are sorted, then we can copy all the elements of the second array, and then we can just simply sort the third array. Okay, but in this case we have to perform two functionalities. First of all, copying all the element of first array, second array, then making the third array, and then again perform sorting on it. Okay, that is the first approach. What is the second approach? In the second approach, the third array will be sorted while merging the given sorted array. So rather than simply copying the elements of the first array and second array directly into the third array, what we can do is, while copying, we will see to it that the third array which is formed becomes sorted. So how that will be done, that is our topic of discussion today, and that is going to be our merging algorithm, or that is going to be our concept of merging. In this approach, the elements of given arrays are compared, and based on the comparison, it is decided which element will go into the third array. So what we do is we continuously compare the elements of the first array as well as the second array, and then we decide that which element will go into the third array. So that is what we have to see, students, today. Fine. So let's take an example and start. Now there are two arrays. Okay, so the two arrays, the array 1 is having elements 2, 7, 8. Array 2 is having elements 3, 9, 15, 21. Now if you just copy first array and then if you copy the second array, then the third array will become like 2, 7, 8, 3, 9, 15, 21, which is not sorted. Okay, and even the elements of array 1 and array 2 can be anything. But yes, one thing is sure, array 1 itself will be sorted, array 2 itself will be sorted, but that is not sure that if we combine all the elements of array 1 and array 2, then the third array will become sorted. So to achieve that even our third array after merging becomes sorted, what we will do is while comparing, while merging, we will compare and then we will put the elements into the third array. So how that is done, let's see. Okay, please see all the diagrams, okay, properly understand the process. If we can understand that, then the whole process of algorithm will also be very clear to us. Okay, fine. Now whenever we have to start comparing, students, of course we will take the first element of array 1 and first element of array 2, right? That is, we will always start with the lower bound of array 1 and lower bound of array 2, and of course we have to go till the end of both the arrays. Now what we see, students, over here in array 1, what is the upper bound? Upper bound is 2, because this array is a smaller array having 0, 1, 2. But what is the upper bound of array 2? 3. So one important thing over here is also that when you have to do merging, it is not necessary that both the arrays should be of same size. They can be of different size. Of course, lower bound of both the arrays will be same. That will be 0. But upper bound can be anything depending on whatever your size of the array is. Now, if we have to make sure that all the elements of array 1 and array 2 should go into the third array, which means all the elements of array 1 has to be considered as well as all the elements of array 2 also has to be considered, which again means that array 1, all the elements from lower bound of array 1 to upper bound of array 2 will be considered, and in array 2 all the elements from lower bound of array 2 to upper bound of array 2 will be considered. Okay, and then you can understand that what will be the size of the third merge array. Okay, so because array 1 is having 3 elements and array 2 is having 4 elements, the size of the third merged array will be having 7 elements. Okay, so this is, students, I gave you an idea on what exactly is going to happen. Now let us see step by step the execution. Yeah, so students, if you could see, there are 3 arrays displayed: array 1, array 2, and the last array that you see is array 3, the new array which will be formed. What you see, what is the size of the third array? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, which means there are total 7 elements. Now what has happened? We have started with comparison from the first element of array 1 and to the first element of array 2. Whether 2 is less than 3. 2 is less than 3. Yes, the element of array 1 is less than array 2. So what we have done, whenever we have made the third array, we have put that element at the first position, which simply means that this element is already placed here. We don't need to now compare this element because this element is already gone. Now, if you put a value from any array 1 or array 2, so let's say in this case you have put a value from array 1. So the element of array 2 is still left to compare, still left to go over here. That's why in array 2 you will wait because this element has not went yet. And because in array 1 the value has went over here, you will go ahead now. You will go ahead. And when you go ahead, the situation will look like this. Okay. Now what has happened, students? See, there are 2 things displayed over here. Because 2 was already gone, okay, 2 we will not consider. And we have considered the comparison of 7 to the 3 which was left to compare. And what we found out, is 7 less than 3? No. Okay, 3 is less. So because 3 is less, we have put 3 over here, and that's why 3 is also now occupied. but 7 is yet left to be compared. Okay, fine. Going forward. Now, because 2 and 3 have already went, 2 which is from array 1, 3 which is from array 2. Now the time of comparison is from 7 and 9. Okay. 7 less than 9. Yes, 7 is less than 9. That's why what has happened, students? 7 has come to array 3. Okay. 9 is still left. We have moved forward. 2 have come, 3 have come, 7 have come. 8 is compared to 9. 8 is less. Yes, 8 is less. That's why 8 has also come to array 3. Okay. Now, what we see, all the elements from the first array have already came, 2, 7, 8. And all the elements, remaining elements of the second array were left. But because all the elements of the second array by themselves are already compared, we can simply start, putting them now. So 9, 15, 21. Okay, see, 2, 7 and 8 have came. Okay, 3 has also came. Left were 9. From 9 we have not moved forward because they were not added into the third element. Okay, but now array 1 is already over. There is nothing to compare. To whom you will compare? No comparison is left. Array 1 is already over. It is already come into array 3. So finally, all the elements which are left of array 2 will directly come over here. Students, this case can be vice versa also. It may happen that array 2 is small, array 1 is bigger. So what might happen, that all the elements of array 2 might come and all the elements of array 1 might be left. So in that case, what we have to do is, at the end, whichever elements are left, either from array 1 or array 2, we have to simply, put them into the array 3, because in array 1 and array 2, they are already sorted. Again, students, okay. So this is what we have achieved is, we were having two arrays, we merged them, and the third array is also sorted array. If you see the elements of third array, students, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 15, 21, which are sorted. Let's again see what has happened. Okay, there were two arrays. The first array was having size 2, 7, 8. The second array was having, the first array were having elements 2, 7, 8. The second array were having elements 3, 9, 15, 21. Let's move forward. The element of the first array compared to the element of the second array. Okay, the first element of the first array is being copied to the third element. Going forward, because the first element was yet left to be compared, it was compared with the second element of array 1. Then 3 went to array 2 because it is smaller. Then comparison went ahead. 7 compared to 9, 7 went into array 3. 8 compared to 9, 8 went into array 3. Okay, all the elements of array 1 over the remaining elements of array 2 being copied. So this is how it will happen. Okay, now we have to understand the algorithm. So if we have understood this process, we have to start putting this thing programmatically and understand what exactly will happen. So of course, certain things which are clear is that we will have three arrays: array 1, array 2, array 3. There will be lower bound and upper bound of array 1. There will be lower bound and upper bound of array 2. Okay, and there will be size of the third array, which will be the combination of array 1 plus array 2. Okay, keeping these things in mind, we have to start with the algorithm. Also, what we saw is that the comparison always starts from the upper bound of array 1, the lower bound of array 1 and the lower bound of array 2. Okay, and then it moves ahead until the upper bound of both the arrays. Okay, fine. Now, we will go very slowly and understand each and every step properly. Step 1 says, set I equals to LB1. What is LB1? Lower bound of the first array. J equals to LB2. What is LB2? Lower bound of the second array. What is K? K is nothing, but we can say the first element of the third array. Okay, or I can go over here and tell you. Okay, K is nothing but the first element of the third array. So lower bound of array 1, I, lower bound of array 2, J, and K, that is going to represent array 3. Okay. while I is less than or equals to upper bound 1. Okay, which means I is lower bound and I have to go till the upper bound. So it will go till whether it is less than or equals to upper bound, and j also will go till the upper bound too. Okay, what I is representing? Lower bound of first array. So we know, students, we have to go from lower bound of first array till the upper bound of first array to cover all the elements, and j is representing lower bound of the second array. So we also have to go from the lower bound of the second array till the upper bound of the second array. So that's why the loop is while I is less than equals to upper bound 1 and j is less than equals to upper bound 2. We will start comparing. Okay, what is the comparison? The comparison says if a1 of I is less than a2 of j, which means the first element of array 1 is less than the first element of array 2. Students, then what we do? We use the element of array 1 and put it into our third array, right? Okay, so then what we have written, set a3 of k, that is the third array, equals to a1 of I. Copy the first element of first array as the first element of the third array. And then we will increase I. Why we will increase I? Because that I we have already copied into array 3. So we have to go ahead and we will increase k because the first element in third array is already placed. So this is this situation, students. Just one second. So see, we were over here. Okay, lower bound of array 1 is compared to lower bound of array 2. This is I and this is j. This compared to this. And this is k, that is a3. a1, a2, a3. These two are compared. This was less, so it was copied over here. Now, because this is yet left to be compared, okay, and this is already compared, we will go here. That's why we will increase I. And we also have to increase k. That is the next case. Okay. Else. Now, there can be another situation. Else means what? a1 of I is greater than a2 of j, which means the element which is in array 1 is greater than the element which is in array 2. In that case, we have to copy the element which is in array 2 because that is smaller. So everything will be same, but instead the element that will be copied in array 3 will be of array 2. So in that case, in else, what we say, a3 of k equals to a2 of j is equals to j plus 1, k is equals to k plus 1. So this is the simplest part wherein, we can achieve condition till here. Okay, till here everything will be achieved. Okay, and we will have comparison from two array, whichever is smaller will be pasted into the third array, whichever is smaller will be come into the third array, and these array will also progress, this array will also progress. But now when this condition will be there, your first array is already over, the elements of the second array are left. In that case, what we should do? Because there will be no comparison, and if there will be no comparison, okay, there is no step 3. If there is no step 3, then what should happen? Because if comparison will end, then elements of certain array will be remaining only, they will not come. So after that, after this process is over, we have to go to step 4 and step 5. What does step 4 says? If I is greater than upper bound, when I will be greater than upper bound? When I has already covered all the elements, and I is referring to what, students? Array 1. So step 4 says, if all the elements of array 1 are already over, then just copy all the elements of array 2. How we should do that? So if I is greater than upper bound 1, then while j is less than or equals to upper bound, so start j and j will go till the upper bound. So j will go to the end of array 2. Set a3 of k equals to a2 of j equals to j plus 1, k equals to k plus 1. So step 4, student, it says a situation where it says the array 1 is already over, but certain elements in array 2 are left. So we have to go till the end of array 2 and copy all these elements into array 3. One scenario. So that is the same scenario which is there in our example also. Okay, all the elements of array 1 were over and array 2 were left, and we copied then finally one element from array 2 to array 3. Another scenario could be all the elements of array 2 are over and array 1 some elements are left. So what will be the next case? Exactly opposite. Else if step 5, j is greater than upper bound 2, Then while I is less than or equals to upper bound 1, set A3 of k equals to A1 of I equals to I plus 1, k equals to k plus 1. So if the array 2 is over, copy all the elements of array 1 which are remaining to the array 3. Okay. And once this is done, yes, then our third array will be completely formed and then we can exit. Okay. Let's see, students, again the steps of algorithm. We will start with I, j and k. I will be the lower bound of first array. J will be the lower bound of the second array. K will be 0. While I is less than or equals to upper bound 1 and j is less than or equals to upper bound 2, which means I will go till the end of first array, j will go till the end of second array. We will start comparing one element of array 1 to the one element of array 2. Whichever is small will go into array 3. So step 3 says, if a1 of I is less than a2 of j, then a3 of k will be a1 of I will be increased by 1, k will be increased by 1. Else means the element of array 1 is greater. So in that case, or we can say the element of array 2 is smaller. So in else case, instead of array 1, the element of array 2 will go. And because element of array 2 is going, we increment j plus j by 1. K will be anyhow increased because third array has to move forward. Next case, step 4. The elements of array 1 are over. That's why we have written if I greater than upper bound. I has already crossed upper bound. In that case, take all the elements of j. So j will go till upper bound, copy all the remaining elements into the third array by incrementing j and by incrementing k. Next case, all the elements of array 2 are over, but array 1 is left. So what it will do is, I will start its journey from where it is. It will go till the upper bound 1, that is the upper bound of first array. Copy all the remaining elements of the first array into the second array. And this is how the merge algorithm will be performed. Okay. And this is nothing but, students, the merging operation of an array. Okay. So again, we'll have, there were two arrays, A1 and A2. We started with comparing the first two elements of array 1 and array 2. Okay. 2 was there into the third array because it was small. Then 7 and 3 were compared. This time 3 went into array 3, the third array. 7, 9 were compared. 7 went into the third array. 8, 9 were compared. 8 went into the third array. And finally, because all the elements now of array 1 have already come, it has crossed the upper bound. All the remaining elements of array 2 will be copied one by one into the array 3. Okay. So yes, students, this was the merge algorithm, and by this we can say we have completed the operations of the array. Okay, so we started with knowing what is array, what are one-dimensional arrays, what is memory representation of an array, and afterwards we saw about the we can say that what are the different operations on the array. So what we saw, the different operations are traversal, insertion, deletion, searching, sorting, and merging. Okay, so we completed traversal, we completed insertion, we completed deletion. In searching, what we saw that there can be two searching possible, linear and binary. Then we saw sorting, and today we saw merging operation. Yeah, okay, students. So today we understood the merging operations in array. And yeah, that was there for today. Thank you. Thank you very much. So now, students, yeah. So now, students, today we are going to start with our practical, wherein we are going to take a very simple practical today. We will understand how we can create an array. Okay. How we can put some values into the array, that is nothing but your insertion, and how we can display those values, that is nothing but your traversal. Okay. Fine, let's start. If you have Turbo C in your machine, you can start working on it. That is possible. let's say if nothing like is that, okay, because you can use what I'm using right now onto your mobiles also. We all know, I think we have used this into when we have understood about OP also. So simply, you can open your browser and type, let's say, online C compiler. As soon as you type your online C compiler, you will see online GDB. There are many C compiler, but use this. This is good and easy. Okay, online C compiler, online GDB. Once you will click on it, you will get a screen like this. Okay, so let's start with our code today. Okay, I am giving a comment. The comment says first program of array. Okay, going forward, one library that is installed over here is stdio.h. Okay, so we already know what do we mean by stdio.h. Instead of using int main, I will use void main. Okay, I'll remove this thing. That's it. So this is the most minimal thing, right? Okay. Now after hash stdio.h, I am going to write what we call it as preprocessor or macro. We have known about this word when we have learned about imperative programming. Okay, so this thing is known as preprocessor or a macro, wherein what you do is you write a word, okay, and let's say I have written 50, okay, which means wherever if I'm using max, it will be overwritten by 50, okay, or simply you can say that max is nothing but we can say another name for 50. So of course in your code you can use 50 also, but this is, we can say, a good programming habit. This is not compulsory. Okay, this is a good programming habit. I will tell you how it will differ. Okay, let's go into void main. We know now that we have to declare one certain variable. So first of all, I am going to declare my array. Now normally we have a habit like this, right? Int arr bracket 50, which means the size of the array. So this array is of size 50. Instead, now I am going to write it like this. Okay, I hope now it is clear. Okay, so again you have declared an array of size max, and what is max? Okay, so the size is 50, right? Okay, this is your first declaration. Secondly, what other things you will need? You will need one counter, that is I, to go in the array. Then you will need the size of this array. Now size means what? Okay, so max means maximum this array can take 50 elements. But if you want, as of now, you want to insert only 5 elements or 10 elements, that will be part of your size. So that will come from user. Okay, then what you want? Then you want n, or you can write num. Okay, what is num? Okay, or let's say you can use no. What is no? The numbers which are going to come into the array. So how and when they will be used, I will just let you know. Okay, I think we can go. Yeah, fine. Right. Okay, so this thing is clear. Okay, so what I will say over here, I'll give a comment. This is declaration of array and other variables. It is always good habit, students, to give comments. So these are the two things which we have need. So we have declared them. Now it's time for us to ask size from the user, because until and unless we don't know size, till that time we will never be able to understand how many elements we need to ask from the user to put into the array. So we will write a message to the user, printf, okay, enter the size of array. Okay, and then we will say scanf %d. This is your C coding, I hope you remember, and %size. Okay, so we have asked from size from the user. Let's stop our program here and see what happens. So I have written get ch. I think this is very simple. You all will understand. I'll run. what output in what you could see user, it is asking us from the size of the array. I have told 5. That's it, the program finished. Okay, there is no need to print size as of now. Okay, so here when I have asked size, which means I know that user wants 5 elements in the array as of now. So then my work of I will start. I will write for I equals to 0. Okay, that is the lower bound of I, until where I will go to the size of the array, right? Because that is the maximum, we can say it once. Okay, or what you can do is, upper bound will be always less than 1 from the size. Okay, so you can have a third variable, okay, over here, which you call it as ub1, upper bound, or ub. After taking the size, you can say ub equals to size minus 1. Okay, so this is one approach. In that case, you have to take another variable. So instead, what we will do is, we know if user has given size as 5, the last element will be 4 because it is starting from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will go to less than size. Okay, it will just go less than size. It will not go less than equal to, and then simply I plus plus. So we can understand this loop. If the user has given size as 5, this loop will iterate for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have to ask the element from the user. So we will say printf, or what you can see is, yeah, this is fine. Printf, we will ask from the user, enter the element for position, and I will write %d over here, and I will put I. Okay, which means what message will be printed to the user? Enter the element for the position I. What is I? I will be 0, then I will be 1, then I will be 2, then I will be 3, then I will be 4, then I will be 5. Then we say scanf, because we have to take the input. We will say %d n%. Remember students, this is very important. We have to take input for the array. So what will come? ARR of I. Why ARR of I? Because first element, second element, third element, fourth element. So this is the simplest insertion, students, because you are inserting values into the array. If I will simply run this, okay, let's give the size of the array 5. Enter the element for position 0, or some small changes we have to make. So I have told 10, position 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, we will change over here. Okay, one thing is that enter the element for the position %d space, we will use a quote space. Okay, we'll run again. Okay, I'm giving a small size now, 3. For position 0, I say 11, 22, 33. So yes, over here also you have done insertion, but this is the simplest insertion. Okay, you know what values you have to insert, and you also know the size. Now we will do traversal. What do I mean by traversal? Traversal, or we can write display. Traversal simply means we have to go to all the element one by one and display them. So because we have to go and visit all the element, we have to again start our loop. I equals to 0, I less than size, I plus plus. And now this time we have to simply display. We don't have to take any input. So it will be simply printf. Okay. Or what you can do is, you can give over here only printf the elements of the array are, And over here, you can simply write printf %d ARR of I. Because you don't have to take input, scanf will not come and n%d will also not come. Okay. And what you can do is you can give some space over here. Okay. So let's run this code again. Oh yes, we have missed a semicolon over here. Okay, let's run it again. Okay, again, we'll take an array of 5. We will first position the value is 10. Second position 2, 30, 40, 50. And see, the elements of the array are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So students, this is the simplest code which we can say for arrays. What we have done over here, okay, we have taken a library hash include stdio.h. We have defined max. Okay, as of now in this code we have used max over here. Okay, if you don't want to do this, you can skip this line and you can say 50 over here. That is also possible. Okay, so that is up to you. As of now, I'll keep this. We have declared our array in void main. We have taken 3 variables I, says, and no. Okay. If you see, number is not also required over here because we are directly working with array. Okay. Printf, enter the size of the array. Okay. So we have taken the size from the user. Insertion, it will go from 0 to size. We will ask from the user, enter the element, and the user will enter, and then input will be taken using scanf n%i, sorry, n% ARR of I. And then simply we have printed those elements. That is the traversing. Now, if we enhance this code, then in insertion, what we have to see is what if the user inserts somewhere in between. See students, what is the size of the array that you have given? When the user has told, the size was given only 5. But what is the maximum capacity of this array? 50, which means more elements can come. So then how we will change this code, okay, that we can understand. So as of now, this is the simplest one. You take the size from the user and then you simply, display it. Okay. Now I will add just one more thing today over here. Insertion in between we will see later on. So I will say insertion of elements. Okay. Now what we will see over here is, okay, and then let's say what we have done is we have displayed the array. Let me, the program will get bigger, but then many things will be clear to you. Now I go back and then I say inserting an element at last. Last means wherever the array has stopped. So this is the simplest version, students. We have to insert an element at the last. Now last means what? What do we mean by last? So user has given the size of the array. Okay, that will be the last size. Okay, till now. So in this case, when we say last means what? This. Okay, and size is 5. So which means we are increasing first of all the size of the array. So when we say insert an element at the last, we will say size equals to size plus 1. Okay, and then we will say position. Okay, at which place you have to insert the array. Okay, so position, size has increased, position will be always size minus 1. And then we have to ask from the user what element you have to insert. In that case, one more variable will come over here, that is no. Let's go back. We will ask printf enter the element for the last position. We will say scanf percentage d and percent no. Okay, and then ARR of POS, that is the position where we have to insert. Why, how it is calculated? First of all, we've incremented the size, but position will always be size minus 1 is equals to NO. Once we have inserted the last element, we can always again print the array. Okay, so I will copy paste the code of traversal again. The elements of the array after insertion. Okay, and we don't have to change this code over here because we have already increased size. Okay, now let's see, let's run. Yeah, okay, so we have declared NO over here. Okay, and what we have used, yeah, we have used NO only. Okay, and we have declared. Fine. So we are going to use the traversal again, and yeah, let's see. So fine, POS equals to size minus 1. Yeah, we have to declare POS because that we haven't declared. Okay, so we will say POS. Okay, and then comma, run it again. Yeah, size of the array. This is the first time we are asking the user. So user says 5. Fine, we will ask with the elements. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, the elements. Then it has asked enter the element for the last position. Last position means now insertion is done, traversal is done, one more element you want to add. So now I say let's say 60. And again what you see, the elements are printed 10, 20, 30, 40, 60. Okay. So in this case, you have done the insertion at the last position. This is one type of insertion, okay, which is easy. You have to simply insert at the last. And if you simply have to insert at last, you don't have to, push the elements back again. Simply they will be staying there. You have to just insert. So again, students, I will show you what we have done is we have declared an array. We have taken variables. We have taken the size of the array. First of all, we have taken the input for all the elements. Okay, for the size which user has given us. Then we have displayed them. Then we have asked again that what here the insertion will be at the last element. So what we have done is we have increased size plus 1 and we have taken position as size minus 1. Why size minus 1? Because if the size will be increased from 5 to 6, then see what I want to tell you, students. If we consider array element as size to be 5, the last element is at position 4. So position will always be 1 less than size. So here the last element is at size 6, but at position 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's why. Okay. Then we have asked from the user, please enter the element which you want to insert at the last position. The user has entered the element. And that element we have simply assigned to the position. What is position? Size minus 1. And then we have again printed the array. So again the whole array will be printed. Okay. So yes, students, this was the simplest code. Now in this code, what we have to append is what if user wants to add some element in between. Okay. That is insertion in between. So what we see is insertion can be possible in multiple ways. If you want to insert all the elements together, that is one insertion. If you want to insert an element at the last, that is one insertion, or you want to insert element somewhere in between. Okay, that code we will append into our next session. Okay, and once that is done, we will be thorough with what is insertion. We can do it again, we can understand insertion again, and then afterwards we will try putting deletion into it. Okay, and then we will see what happens to the array if elements are deleted. Okay, fine. So yes students, this was the code for today. Okay, again I'll quickly go through. We have declared an array, certain variables, we have taken the size of the array, we have taken the elements from the user. Okay, we have displayed the elements. Then we have increased the size of the array because the user wants to enter one more element, but it is very clear that the user will enter only at the last position. Okay, and then we have simply printed the array again. Okay students, yes. So yeah, that's what there was for today. Okay, and yeah, we'll be enhancing this code into our next session. Thank you all.